I wanted to start things off by giving you a little show history. So Break the Business, we've been doing this in one incarnation or another since 2015. We've been around a bit. And there are certain segments that we used to do in the very early years, in the pre-Sirius XM years, in the pre-producer Lauren years, just going all the way back. And I figured, since you're new, since you probably want to learn more about the history of this program, I would dust off a classic Break the Business segment that we have not done in at least two presidents. It's been a while. And that is the Music Jerk of the Week segment. Let me see if I still have the imaging for this. And now it's time for Ryan's Music Jerk of the Week.
Oh, you are just the worst type of person.
On the Break the Business podcast. Even my voice sounded more youthful back then. It was a different time. So yeah, we used to do something called the Music Jerk of the Week, where we would talk about different people or organizations that were just being jerks in the music industry. And in light of recent news, Gideon, I think that we have a new music jerk this week. And that music jerk is music concert goers. People going to music concerts lately have been jerks lately. And I'm not saying all of them have, but enough of them have that we have this big problem going on in live touring right now, where we used to have this one pandemic, this COVID pandemic, that was keeping us all away from concerts. And now that pandemic is starting to subside, and we're going back to concerts, which is great. But now we have a new pandemic that has swept through concerts, and it's this uncontrollable urge that music concert goers seem to have for throwing crap at musicians. This is a plague lately, Gideon King. Recently, it was reported that Harry Styles was hit in the eye on stage at a concert in Vienna. And this isn't the first time he's been hit with something. About 10 years ago, he got hit with a shoe at a concert. I think that was at a One Direction concert. Recently, Drake had a phone thrown at him. Bebe Rexha was once hit with a phone as well, and she collapsed on stage. At a recent show in Idaho, Kelsey Ballerini had an object thrown at her, and she had to stop her performance. Somebody threw their mother's ashes at pop star Pink recently at one of her shows.
It was a perfectly normal thing to do.
Oh, yeah. We've all done that once or twice.
Right. That's why I go to concerts, to throw my nuclear family's ashes at the artists. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me.
And this is the one that might be worse. At a Lil Nas X show earlier this month in Sweden,
the sex toy, yeah.
A fan threw a sex toy. Yes, you know what's going on here. So, yeah. I'm curious, Gideon, as a touring musician, as somebody who's played many a live show, and just someone who I know is just sort of a student of the human condition. Why do you think this is happening lately? Why are so many artists getting crap thrown at them?
Okay, so I mean, this is the jerk segment of the week, so I want to be careful not to undermine the extent of the jerkdom. But here's what I will say. We gotta classify, as we classify trees and bugs and diseases and all kinds of things. We gotta classify this throwing thing, and we gotta put it in context. Let me start with the positives of fan interaction and artists throwing things at them. Let's be honest. There are times when people throw their phone on the stage, and Harry Styles or Pink or Emily King or whoever, they take it, they do a selfie, they go like this. The two people who threw the phone are in the selfie, and in the background we got the fans, and that is a kind of making love between the artist and the fans. So let's start from a good place and say that doesn't fall into the jerkdom category. And then we get this sort of second, I would say that's category one, which is, again, the making of love between the artist and the fans. Category two is sort of like awkward love, which results in potential injury. It's like, when a 7-year-old wants to make friends with another 7-year-old, he goes over and he hugs him too hard and knocks him over. And everybody says, well, he's just trying to make friends. So the fans want to connect with the artist. And in this kind of awkward, highly charged environment of a concert, they throw something, usually a phone, at the artist. Okay. So now we're sort of crossing over the threshold into jerkdom. And then there is the, Little Cuddy concert that my son went to, where he paid $250 to see Kanye. Kanye didn't show up. What a shock.
Oh, this was in Miami.
Yeah. And then he shows up, and then Little Cuddy, or I don't know what his name
Kid
is.
Cudi.
Whatever. Kid Cudi. So right, it's Lil Wayne. So Kid Cudi shows up, and he says, "Don't throw any more bottles at me." So of course, fans throw more bottles at him. And now we're getting into that level of like aggression and like almost it's almost actionable behavior in terms of like being a misdemeanor, rising to the level of aggravated assault in certain states. So I guess what I would say is concerts are this place of kinetic energy. There's all this motion. There's the physics of music pumping out of speakers. There's people moving around, buying, drinking. There's motion. And what emanates from motion is love, awkward love, and then jerkdom. And since we're in the jerkdom segment, what's going on is that people are trying to somehow express themselves or individuate in that ecosystem, and they do it stupidly. One guy of course said, this is all about social media and the immediacy of the moment and doing anything. So in the under the rubric of jerkdom, I would say that like social media is a bit of a catalyst for this, because people are taking, their phone. They know people are videoing it, and it's their moment. It's their 5 seconds of fame. So I think we're on a continuum here, and we're in the, we're discussing the jerkdom part, but this continuum that leads to jerkdom starts from a place of genuine fan and artist lovemaking, if you know what I'm saying.
I do.
You see where I'm coming from.
Has Gideon King and City Blog ever been on the receiving end of something getting chucked at them?
So if someone actually threw something at me that could like hurt me, and make this nose, even bigger than it already is, by virtue of injury, I would throw my guitar at them. Okay. But I have definitely, that would piss me off. Okay. But I have had a lot of fans who do these sort of, moral or energy equivalent of saying things. We played one show, and there were some people saying some not very nice things about some of the female singers. And I have to say, when a fan undermines the flow and the good vibes, it is like, it's very hard to recover. You play and you're like sort of, it's almost like the equivalent of being musically tased. Okay. You feel like you've been tased. You sort of stop and you're like, wait, there's something so elemental about fans, listening, interaction, clapping. And then when that sort of, that presupposed, cooperation is violently disturbed, it was for me anyway, the few times it's happened, it's really hard to like come back. You get a weird nervous feeling for the rest of the show. I wouldn't say unsafe, but certainly unsettled. So it sucks. That's what I'm trying to say. It sucks.
It sucks, and I think it speaks to, and we've talked about this before in the context of like why you just shouldn't generally publicly be an a-hole to artists you don't like on social media. Right. Because performing, giving your life to artistry, putting your work up for people's evaluation is such an incredible act of courage on its own, without anybody being just a jerk in some kind of way. That like, it's just generally just a crappy thing to do, just to be awful to musicians, even musicians you don't like. If you don't like, keep it to yourself. Right. Lauren, do you have the clip of music host Zane Lowe talking about this scourge of people throwing stuff at musicians? I really was blown away by his perspective on it. I think it captures a lot of what we're talking about here.
About, I don't know when it was, a couple of months back, I put a TikTok up after someone threw something at Harry Styles. I think it was like a piece of candy or whatever, and I was really pissed about it. People have been trying to get artists' attention from the crowd for a long, long time. As long as artists have been on stage, people want to get closer. They want to be the one that the artist looks at. I get it, right? It's all part of the fantasy of it. But in recent times, we're just seeing this insane amount of objects being thrown at people who are taking. It's courageous enough to be able to step on stage and sing those songs in front of people they don't know. Would you do it? I'm asking you listening right now, would you do it? I mean, if you don't have a guitar in your hand, or you're not sitting in front of a computer making music, or maybe you're at college right now and you just listen to this, getting ready to go and do your classes, and you're in the creative arts, I'm asking everybody else who buys a ticket to a show, would you do it? Would you go on stage with an instrument or just with your voice, and would you sing in front of 20, 30, 40,000 people? Probably not, right? Probably not. It takes courage, takes real vulnerability, and it takes, you know, what I would consider to be a superhero power to go out there and try to make our lives better by performing, right? We buy tickets because it makes our life better. It makes us feel less alone. We sing these songs, we take these memories, we share them. And I'm talking to the world right now. Like, really, if you're listening to this, don't switch off. Don't be like he's in rant mode. Really ask yourself, how many times have you told stories about your favorite shows to your friends? The first time you saw that band, or the first time you went to that festival, your greatest festival experience, or maybe you met your partner at a concert. How many great things come out of this experience? None of that, in that beautiful unofficial contract or trade between human beings, artists and fans, nothing, nowhere does it say throw shit. There's no intention. There's no good intention with doing that. There is none. You cannot justify it. I just wanted a selfie. No. I just want you to put on the bracelet. No. Just please actually think, why am I here? What am I here for? What do I want to get out of this? And if the answer is, I'm going to throw something to be the center of attention, don't go.
I mean, that just about nails it. Putting your work out there, to whether it's 40,000 fans or even just a couple dozen people at a club. And I often say, depending on your situation, sometimes like a couple dozen people at a club can be scarier than 40,000 people, because like you're looking at them right in the eye, and you can like isolate each one. And like, to me, that's scarier. But whatever the situation, that's already hard enough. And when we think about the value that live music has, how it makes us feel, how happy, how you remember your favorite concert for the rest of your life. If we can't control ourselves as music fans, if we keep doing stupid crap like this, our favorite artists are going to stop touring because it's dangerous, and we're going to miss out on these experiences. And that, it breaks my heart.
But Ryan, one question for you. Doesn't every public get-together have to have rules of engagement? And what I mean by that is, if Harry Styles, if someone throws a huge pair of sunglasses, okay, on the stage or whatever, and Harry Styles puts it on and dances around with it, okay, which he does, okay. Well, I don't know, because I haven't been to a Harry Styles concert, but I read that, okay. So maybe I read something wrong, but I assume it's right. The rules of engagement are blurred. Like, and listen, I'm 1,000,000,000% with you. Of course, people shouldn't be throwing things on stage that could be dangerous, that disturb the flow of the set. But if the artist, at some level, is accepting that kind of modality of behavior, at some level, it blurs the lines. And so the only point I'm making, I agree with that clip. I agree with everything you're saying. But at some level, the rules of engagement may have to be, by the artist, more clearly delineated, clearly set. As Adele said, I think she said, I effing dare you, or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I read something, right? I effing dare you to do it. There are other people who say, just don't do it. I mean, when I went and saw Bono's one-man show where he, recently, they took your cell phones away. And so the rules of engagement, okay, were set. And that's the only point that I'm making to you, is that the lines can actually be, the victim can blur the lines, inviting the victimhood at some level. That's the only thing I'm saying.
But doesn't it suck that like Harry Styles even has to make, like, or Adele, as you put it, the fact that they even have to make that statement to people, hey, don't throw crap at me while I'm performing. Yeah. I don't come to your job and throw crap at you. Yeah. And like, I don't, Harry Styles, somebody throws a pair of sunglasses and he puts them on to look cool. I don't, I'm not going to like use that as a reason to victim blame him here, right? Like the fact that he went, somebody threw sunglasses on the stage, that sucks, but the show must go on. I'm going to show people that like, I'm not going to let it bother me so that I can still put on a good show for my fans. I'm not going to like blame him for that and say, hey, you asked for somebody now throwing a cell phone at you,
Fair enough.
But it's Daniel Neruda writes in, just because it was okay once doesn't mean it's okay every time. Music fans, like, we need to Like, we need to take the initiative here. Like, right, if an artist tells us don't do it, but we should be able to know not to do it to begin with.